living the dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Live from our new home of SoFi Stadium in the city of champions, Inglewood, California. It's the O-ZONE. I'm here live with my brother, Terry Miller, also known as the Icons, who I'm facing in the fantasy baseball semifinals right now.
It's looking all bad for me right now, brother.
I don't know.
It's
You
looking
like
all
to
bad.
explode.
I do. On the
How you
fastball.
feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's your Diamond Dynasty game?
Terrible.
Terrible. We don't know.
I
We
like-
love to game, but we only play one game.
And it is Diamond Dynasty, the double D.
It's MLB The Show 21. You can find us online.
Getting some smoke. Getting some smoke. Again, and I got a lot of it yesterday.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
I was 1-7 or something like that.
Bad news. He's in the 600s or 5s.
You can be love. I think.
All right, nobody knows what we're talking about. We got a great show for you today. A lot of boxing to talk about. Whole lot of things happening in the world of boxing. The NFL's got big news with Cam Newton getting dropped, which I find very interesting. Jameis making some noise. We got the Major League Baseball, and the Dodgers are back in first place where they belong. But let's start it up with some boxing. What a week in boxing. And last night, I feel like a bombshell dropped, even though nobody's talking about it being a bombshell. Last night, Devin Haney, 130-pound titleist, I think he's 130. I know he's 130. I think he has the belt at 135.
Yeah, 135.
Yeah, and he was at 130. Actually just came out on Twitter and said, listen, everybody in Eddy Reynoso's camp is dirty. He said everybody in the camp is on the needle. And what does that tell you? And Eddy Reynoso, who is Canelo Alvarez's trainer, did not appreciate it. And this all spawned.
Nor did Ryan Garcia.
Who is his nemesis that they seem like they'll never actually fight.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because all of this spawned because Oscar Valdez, who won a monster fight earlier this year over Miguel Berchelt, which he was the complete underdog, and he was devastated because his idol Julio Cesar Chavez picked against him because Berchelt is a monster.
Right.
And he knocked Berchelt out. And it went.
Now we know why.
Ooh, do we know why? Because they're saying that first they said it was a diuretic. And super featherweight champion Jamel Herring came out and said, listen, man, the diuretic obviously is a way to get other banned substances out of your system.
Right. You're trying to flush your system.
And now they're saying it wasn't a diuretic. It was something else that was banned.
I can't even pronounce the name, to be honest.
It's a phenomenal.
Malamal.
Yes. And somehow or another, it's now finally becoming acceptable for boxers to speak out. It's very interesting because the reason I say it's a big deal is because in the past, you never really heard boxers talk about other boxers being on the juice. It's almost like they all just sweep it under the rug, which kind of leads you to believe that possibly they're on the juice.
I really don't. You know what? This is just, it's not even a sticky situation. Honestly, they need to start holding.
Pun intended.
They need to hold these guys accountable. Most of these guys aren't being held accountable. The Canelo, Reynoso, the whole camp. You need to go in there and clean house. Basically, somebody has to pay a price for them testing dirty and just give them a little slap on the wrist, pushing the fights back a little bit. And then
They said it was an A sample, so they're still awaiting the B sample,
Yeah.
which usually the B sample just confirms the A sample.
Yes.
But
But then there's no punishment. I mean, what's the actual punishment? You don't get to fight for 6 months? You're not going to fight for 6 months anyway.
yeah.
So what does it matter? I mean, literally, these guys need to be punished in some form or fashion. Stripped of a title. Stripped.
Oh, wait. They want to strip the power of the black.
You need to strip it away. Take a title, take some cheese, do something, but letting these guys just get away with it is a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that Devin Haney came out and said something.
I'm glad he put
Herring
him on
came
blast.
out and said something. And these are guys that are in that weight class. They're near Oscar Valdez.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tainted meat, diuretics.
Herbal tea. He tried to say it was an herbal tea.
Herbal tea. Come on, dude. If it was an herbal tea, you should have checked it before you drank it.
Victor Conti of Balco fame,
Came out and
the
put him on,
king,
yes.
the king
Flusher.
he is the king flusher, the king of microdosing. Came out and said there's absolutely no way that this thing that he tested positive for is in an herbal tea.
Yes.
Or that he didn't know what he was doing.
Or if it was, you put it in there.
You sprinkled that on top of your tea. Oh man.
So yeah, it's going down, but it's
a really big deal.
Yeah, but it's not right because a lot of those guys get in there. I was doing some research on it, and they're speaking on how, you know, in the earlier parts of the fight you're able to throw reps and get you know, your system going, and then even in the latter part of the fight you can still throw reps and everything else, you know, punches and bunches as if you were in the first round because you're on the juice. It's not cool, dude. And especially when you start talking about the big boys, because now you're talking about somebody being able maybe.
That's murder. As the Bronze Bomber came and told us, if he got on the juice, it might be murder in the ring. But then again, he likes to talk about killing people in the ring nowadays for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's on him. Which leads us to the next case, because what I heard about, and there was this big to-do with the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. Now, folks, we haven't even spoken about the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight because I think the whole thing, the whole spectacle of what they got going is absurd. It's unfortunate.
Well,
It's
and the
bad
thing
for
of it,
sport.
it is bad for the sport, but
For both sports, but it's good for these boxers and the UFC guys.
Yes, but what they're doing is that there's a place for it, but I don't think that the place is to actually act as if this is actually a professional boxing match, because it's not.
Well, this is the issue, and we have our very first guest on the O-Zone, who's going to be our very first guest to bring the O-Zone back.
Nice.
Actor Robbie Jones is live on a Zoom, ready to talk to us from the UFC perspective.
I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
What's happening, Private Jones?
Right?
Brothers. What's
How you
up,
doing?
Steve? What's up? Oh.
You got it?
So the man, the myth, the legend, cooling out with a fly hat on.
Nice.
Got his auntie's hat on, but we're going to give him love still. Robbie Jones, actor international extraordinaire. How you feeling, Big Papa? Just had another seed. What's going on with the family game? Talk to us.
Congrats.
Man, I'm feeling fantastic. I appreciate that, T. Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. Fatherhood
It's a
is
blessing.
where it's at, fellas. You already know.
This is where it's at. But is where it's at these exhibition / mixed boxing combat sport situation. We just started talking about the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley situation. Now, we haven't even spoken on the fight. I don't even really feel the need to speak on the fight, except for to make the points that it is that I feel like need to be made, that all in all, it's a show, it's a spectacle, it's a farce. And the truth of the matter is, this speaks to the danger of the casual fan for me. Because the casual fan, you used to read the absurd things that people say about Jake Paul. Now he's ready to fight Canelo, and how Logan Paul is better than Floyd Mayweather, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Absurd things that people are saying, and it just feeds into the hyperloop of misinformation that we are living in right now that is proving to be as dangerous as any nuclear weapon on the planet, because it messes up people's minds.
Yeah, but you're saying there's a hyperloop of misinformation, but this is what these people are seeing with their eyes, and they've deduced that this is fact because they're watching something and saying that a person that really can't box is better than Floyd Mayweather.
But that's because what they're seeing in front of their eyes is already manipulated. Case in point, I don't know what the weight limit was or the weight class is, but Tyron Woodley's last fight was at 147 pounds.
Right. And you can see the big difference in size.
That's a welterweight, 147 pounds. Jake Paul enters the ring probably 180, 185.
He looked like he was closer to 200 this time.
And they have weight classes for a reason. You know, you have a guy who's a young guy.
Still got knocked through the ropes.
Still got knocked through the ropes and got held up by the ropes, but it didn't get called a knockdown because one guy sells tickets and the other guy doesn't necessarily matter.
Yes.
These fights, I'm gonna give you the floor in 1 minute, Rob. But these fights right here are totally and completely skewed against the UFC fighter in every single way except for one. And that one way that the UFC fighter wins in comparison to his normal circumstance is his purse. Because what the dirty little secret is what we're finding out now, that the general public is finding out now, is that most of the mixed martial artists, combat artists fight UFC, MMA, $8,000, $20,000,
Yes.
$30,000. They're not
high-end
making
20G.
any money. No. They're making no dough for the risk that they're taking. So when a Jake Paul You can go in there with a guy whose skill set doesn't add up to yours whatsoever, but it doesn't matter because you're getting $850,000. Jake Paul took money out of his purse and gave it to the other boxers on the undercard that he liked, which really changes the game. Take it away, Rob. How do you feel about it?
I hear a lot of truth in what you're saying. I feel like it really is unfortunate that these guys that are out there doing this MMA stuff can't really make a real living doing it, because in some ways the UFC and mixed martial arts has kind of taken over the whole combat sports space. And these guys John Jones has been saying this for years. These guys aren't getting enough money. And I think that's the reason why you don't see John Jones fighting in the UFC, because he's like, pay me my paper. And I'm worth this. Nobody has ever beat me in this space. I'm the greatest of all time. And you want to give me this chump change? I don't think so. So to see these fights, these spectacles happening, I can't blame these guys, first of all. And then second of all, they're getting exposed. They don't have either the stamina or they don't have the capacity to do the sweet science. The MMA game doesn't really translate as well as
it doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate at all, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I'm sure if these guys who are boxers, you see when these guys are boxers, James Toney and some of these other guys try to get in the ring, they just get annihilated because they're two different things.
You would get submitted. Real quick.
They're totally different disciplines.
Right.
And what's happening is
there's no happy medium.
There is no happy medium, but what the happy medium is the bread. That's the happy medium. Because what your casual fan is saying is I don't care. First of all, I don't want to be informed. I don't care that it's not fair. I don't care that it's a balanced playing field or not. All I want is some violence.
Right.
And this is a serious problem that we're seeing in society.
Right.
The bloodlust is at the highest levels right now.
So now are we like in a Roman Coliseum type environment? You know, where the audience and the stage are us watching this virtually and watching these guys in a combat situation? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
So we're literally sitting in the Coliseum watching the Roman gladiators fight.
Oh, you know Ginger James! Oh, you know Ginger James! That's what's happening.
Yeah.
See, I don't feel like it's that.
I honestly do. It's the new version of this because you're watching a guy fight against a tiger or lion and all these other things that don't mix a match. This is these guys doing their version of a combat sport that was actually going on in the past as if it's a fair fight. These aren't fair fights that are going on.
Not fair fights.
And these aren't. And I actually don't even think that they're entertaining, to tell the truth. I feel like after you watch it, you feel like, oh, man, I wasted my time with this, you know, and people wasting bread watching it. And
it's that part. It's that part. It's
right.
People want to see people that they see are famous go in there and punch each other. That's really
all it is.
That's all it is. It has, and they do everything to sell the fight. Oh, you talked about my mama. Oh, you touched my hat. Oh, you messed with my hair. You said something about my girl, and we hype it up and make everybody think, oh, they're gonna tear each other's heads off. But as soon as that ding, ding, ding,
and they walk around and don't throw any punches.
And these guys aren't. The skills level is not there. So what you do is end up feeling like you wasted money on a fight because after 3 rounds, both of these guys is dog tired.
Yeah.
And none of them are fighting at their weight class. It's mismatched.
I haven't wasted $1 on any of these, nor 1 minute. I can't tell you what happens in the fight other than the clips that show on Twitter. Because to me, if I just want to see some jackass go around and fight, I can go to a bar.
Or 7-Eleven.
That's what I'm saying.
Or 7-Eleven. Parking lot.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Or the football game. I can see what it is. On one hand, I'm happy that people are getting money. Yeah. Jake Paul took $1 million out of his purse and gave Amanda Serrano the biggest payday for a women's boxing match
in history
ever.
Wow. And she looked good too.
She got $500,000. She always looks. She looks sharp. Yeah. She's always sharp. Yeah. That's the thing about her.
She's always.
She doesn't come in there to play. Yeah. She comes in there to win for her $20,000 and her $30,000, which she wasn't getting paid. Now you're talking about picking up $500G. You make some noise. $500 cash. She going back to Puerto Rico and doing what she got to do.
And then somebody's going to ask her to do it again. Come on, dude. You know you're going to do that. I mean, $500, I got to take it.
Somebody's going to ask her to do it again. And she's actually fighting against other fighters that are, in her weight class and so on and so forth.
The top card.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's made her co-main event. You know,
I actually think that they should come up with a new category because it actually brings down, it does more of a boost for the MMA audience and UFC audience than it does from actual boxing fans. Because
That part.
yeah,
it
because
needs to be a categorical change for a lot of stuff in society. But this particular needs its own category. These fights being sanctioned, these fights would never be sanctioned under a normal
no.
circumstance.
So is the sanctioning body just as a game?
More or less, but it's statewide because it's the Ohio sanctioning body. That fight brought a lot of money to Cleveland,
Right.
so that the Cleveland Athletic Commission is apt to say, yeah, let's do this. And nobody got hurt. Nobody, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it ended up working out. But
I think the coolest thing about the fight was Jake Paul's belt. I like that belt.
I didn't see the belt.
Little thing, it was, it was almost like a marquee. It was
I didn't see it.
going around in circles saying Jake
I just
Paul
saw
on his
bits
belt.
and pieces of the fight, and I was rooting for Tyron Woodley.
I was too.
I thought he was, but I honestly he got to hang it up. He got to hang it up.
But here's the thing. This is, I mean, you could argue, even though it's not the same at all, but it's very similar to the Manny Pacquiao situation. You got a 24-year-old guy fighting a 40-year-old guy. Those things always favor the 24-year-old guy if things are equal. This situation was not equal, obviously. But in Jake's situation, the thing that I have to give the Paul brothers credit for is that they have pioneered a business model that allows them to benefit for the rest of their lives from something that is really not that dangerous. Because it's dangerous if they were in against other people who were professional boxers. Any level of I'm talking about club fighters.
Right.
Any level of professional boxing.
Someone asked me just yesterday, do you think Jake Paul could beat Tyson Fury's brother?
It's unbelievable.
I told him, I said, are you crazy? That dude would put him to sleep in probably in the first minute. That dude's a real fighter.
He's not even good like that. But he's a real fighter.
But he's a real
and I don't
boxer,
think
man.
his dad is going to go along with that nonsense.
No.
I don't get the
Like,
feeling
no.
John Fury is playing games with this dude.
But this was the next thing that they're trying to hype up. So what they've basically
But he
done
won't
is
do that. He shouldn't do that. From a business perspective, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they need to keep this spectacle alive as long
The
as they
exhibition.
can. And now they're real fights.
which is ridiculous.
But what they've done is they've gotten Showtime to buy in. Mm-hmm. And it just speaks to the fact of how much on its last legs boxing actually is. Because two dudes who are YouTubers with no skill and with a decent amount of showmanship. I would say Jake Paul is actually a really good showman. He's sharp when it comes to, and this is what made him a social media star, both of them. They understand showmanship and they understand spectacle. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal in today's society. But these two bozos, and I actually like Logan. I never met Jake, but I actually like Logan. Logan is the homie. Yeah. But these two bozos, I stay with it. These two bozos, and I mean this affectionately, have figured out a way to hack the system so that they made themselves as important as everybody that is not Canelo, that is not Tank, that is not Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. Yeah. There's not really anybody else.
More important.
There's nobody other than those four guys that I would say that is more important financially right now to the boxing space than these two bozos. And boxing should be ashamed. This would be the equivalent of if I decided during the height of my Ballers fame that I'm going to go face Novak Djokovic at the finals of the French Open.
What's even worse is they would let you.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Is that then the French Federation says, we need Omar to play Nadal. Maybe it is a good idea. I don't know. It's good money, huh? This is the trick. And they've been able to do that, and they've gotten the endorsement of DAZN. They've gotten the endorsement of Showtime. Then this is how you get, from what I understand, he actually lost the fight, but they gave him the decision.
Yes.
So this is how you get this. It's just unbelievable to me. You got 20,000 people in an arena with no mask, willing to risk catching COVID to watch a bozo fight a former UFC fighter.
That's the key part. These guys are former.
Yes.
Of course.
They're not fighting anybody
Of
who's
course,
a
They're
current
not fighting
fighter.
current. They're not fighting.
They're not
anything.
fighting any current
That's
people
why I
that are
said
relevant.
the risk.
And
the
I don't
risk
think
has
it'll
been
ever happen.
mitigated.
The risk to reward, right?
Yes.
The risk is so
Yes.
even if Ty Wood would have knocked him out, it
Doesn't
would have
matter.
still been worth $4 million.
Of
Oh, definitely.
course.
But it seems like
Ty Wood can knock me out for 4 real quick.
Can he? Hey, Ty, come on in. We got him.
You got my 4?
Right. I'm not even training. I might get knocked out on the way to the ring. Oh,
Oh, wake up, man. Come on, man. You got it.
You got the Holy Ghost.
where's my check? Where's my check?
This is the whole thing. This is the whole situation. And so, you look at it and Michael Bisping, is that how you say his name? Bisping? Bisping. I'm not no disrespect. I don't know the UFC stars like that. But I saw him coming out speaking on it. And it makes a lot of these guys mad, and it should make them mad.
Because somebody's getting paid big time money for not even taking the risk. And
That's exactly it.
And I've worked out, I've done the training camp and
I ate
everything.
right.
else. Yeah.
I got beat up,
Yes. I've taken all the lumps and there's no payout.
and I can't pay my mortgage
Yeah.
Listen, man.
or my rent
These
on
are
my
two
studio.
different things, and you can't be mad at that. Like Bisping, like you could go the route of getting in the best shape of your life and going out and try to win the UFC championship, or you could go the route of creating an image for yourself that people want to see, and then merging yourself into the lane of spectacle fighter.
Right.
There's two different things, and you have to decide where's the money at. If it's about money, like if that's what you're mad about, if it's about money, you find out where the money is. Is the money going to try to work your way up to UFC and making at the top of your career $100,000 for a fight? Or is the money getting yourself in decent shape, creating a following, and then calling somebody out who used to fight?
My biggest problem with the fight was after the fight when Woodley said, hey, we got to do this again. We got to do this again, man. We got the biggest pay-per-view, whatever. That's pandering to, and then the kid comes back and talks to him about getting a tattoo. I don't think I can even do that. I don't even know if I can get the tattoo for 4. You know what I'm saying? That's
I'm not getting the tattoo.
Yeah,
but I'm not fooling with the midget tattoo.
Yeah, but I think that it's under consideration. You know what I'm saying? For $4 million, now you're asking him to sell something more than just the fight. If you're asking him to brand himself with your name.
That was the bet, though. That was the bet they made before the fight.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. It's too far.
But either way it goes, we're talking about it. The world has talked about it, and that's the goal.